Hello, welcome to today's video. We are now on page 280 of the Keyboard Musicianship, Book 1. Just in time for Christmas, we have here the tune Jingle Bells by James Pierpont. And this is going to be in the key of G major. Let's first talk about some of the harmonies in this arrangement. There are some harmonies here that are a little too advanced for your level, so we're just going to acknowledge them but not explain them. Okay, so let's start first that we are in the key of G major. Our first chord obviously is going to be 1, G major. Now this next tune, this is a very common tactic or practice when creating music. What we do is we're going to raise the fifth by a half step, making the chord augmented. And so kind of similar to a secondary dominant, but a more advanced secondary dominant. Let's not explain. And it just prepares us to get to this note here, which is the E, kind of like a stepping stone from D, D sharp to E. And we see that's going to be the 6th chord. And then we're going back down, just as we stepped up, we're stepping back down. This time with the flat, we're simply going to call it a flat 6. And then we go back to the key of G major. On the second system, we have the 4 chord. This is in second inversion. And then we go back to 1 with the 4-3 suspension. On this measure here, this is where we have our secondary dominant of, we have 5-4-2 of 5. So that means in the key of G major, our dominant is D, so the dominant of D is A major. We're going to go ahead and say this is an anticipation or kind of like neighboring tone, but our real note is going to be the A there, and that becomes an A7 chord. That's in third inversion, and then resolve back to the actual dominant, D major right there. Okay. On this next measure, next system, back to 1, G major, same thing again as the top, augmented with 6, flat 6, and then 1 again. Last system, once again, just as before, we have the 4-6-4, 1-4-3 and suspension, then we have 5 chord. It does move around a little bit, we have some passing tones, and then we end with 1. Alrighty, let's go ahead, take a listen to this arrangement of the very famous, very popular Jingle Bells. Okay, moving in our high G position. Ready? 1, 2. So that's our arrangement of the Jingle Bells. Now talking with the transposition to F major from G to F. Some of these notes will be a little interesting when transposing, but remember when we have the chromatic notes, simply talk about raising it a half step, and a half step, back to the half step. They move in steps and half steps. So think about that when talking about the left-hand notes mostly. Push the notes, think about the scale degrees, moving in half steps, and everything else should be fine. In the right hand, we're mostly going to be in G position, so we just need to think about the scale degrees or the fingerings. All right, so let's go ahead now. Place your right hand in F position. Remember, there will be a B flat in the right hand. The left hand, of course, is going to move around a little bit more. Starting with a F fifth. Here we go. 1, 2. there's our Jingle Bells. And then we will see you at next lesson.